AM950 weather right below you. Cold sunshine this afternoon with a high of 6 below. Wind chills of 28 below. Then tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 18 below and wind chills down to 34 below zero. Catch Caleb Herron at the Fillmore in Minneapolis on March 9th, one of America's top gay comedians. Caleb brings his So True tour to town with sharp humor and big laughs. Tickets on sale this Friday at Ticketmaster.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live from Queermunity in Uptown Minnesota, you are listening to AM950 KTMF, and this is the Gaily Show. We are also streaming on our YouTube channel right now, youtube.com/@thegailyshow. That's Gaily. I'm your host, JP Arabagosian. We are at Queermunity today because we thought it would be nice to be in community today, given the events of today, the election, etc. We are in community on the airwaves and on streaming, and obviously here in person at Queermunity. Queermunity is a resource center and social club committed to bringing the LGBTQ+ community together in Minneapolis. Joining me here for the show is Matt Lewellyn-Otten, who is Director of Religious and Community Organizing from OutFront Minnesota. Hello, Matt.
Hi, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And also joining us is Hillary Odie, co-founder and general manager of Queermunity.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having us. And then, of course, from AM950's The Downright Upright Show with Philip Anthony, our very own Philip Anthony.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
And joining us later in the show will be Ellie Krug, host of the new Illegal Trans Woman show here on Saturday afternoons on AM950. Ellie is out of state, but through the magic of radio and the internet, will join us live. So I thought that we would kick off our conversation today, maybe with reactions. Do we have reactions to what's happening right now in Washington, D.C.? I've been looking a little bit at the executive orders. A lot of them haven't come down yet, but Matt, maybe we start with you.
Sure. Well, I think my reaction has been to just not tune in. There's been a kind of a blissful ignorance to today. You know, I've stayed off of social media. I've stayed off of the news, but I've had conversations with friends. I've opted for that more than anything else. So what are ways that we're showing up together in community? What are ways that we're supporting each other? I just got off the phone with a friend before we came on air, actually, who was kind of saying, they're at a brunch. They're showing people at a brunch right now, and I just can't handle it. I can't take this in. I can't process this. And I told them, just get on the TV, turn on something else, turn something alternative on. So my reaction is to be with the people I love, to pet my dog, to have good conversations, to be here with you all. It feels really good to be here today. So yeah, that's my reaction.
That's a good one to have. Hillary, how about for you?
Yeah, I think similarly, the folks I've been talking with today, and myself included, are feeling kind of numb, a little disconnected still, like you said, numb and dissociating a little bit. We don't really want to face all of what everything means yet, but we will have to eventually. We have to take care of ourselves, but we also have to take care of each other and plan for the future. Plan for how to protect ourselves going forward. So it's a balancing act, but I'm really, really grateful to be here with all of you today and with everybody here who's at Queermunity. I came in this morning bright and early and saw folks coming in from the cold and staying warm. Some of our neighbors who needed a warm place. They were playing on our video games. I saw people having coffee. I saw people crying and laughing together, and I think that's that warmed my heart this morning to know that we're here together, feeling all of the feelings together.
All of the feelings. I don't know if I'm folks. I don't want to applaud or anything, but I'm looking out over the space, and it's really lovely to see everybody here and enjoying the full service cafe, which is a highlight, I think, or one of the highlights of Queermunity. Philip, you've been covering the administration and the election. What are your thoughts on the day?
Boy, do I have to be the downer here? Jeez.
We're all the time.
I think so.
Well, yeah, I was listening to his speech today. Well, because I wanted
You're
to.
the news. You have to cover it.
Well, yeah, I wanted to be on the on the money when I'm saying something here. But he mentioned. Now remember, he's the president of all of us, supposedly. But he said there are only 2 genders. Did you hear that one? He said that on his speech.
It's news to me.
Yeah, he said that. So that means that everybody that doesn't, consider themselves, straight is not part of his, under his umbrella. So I just want you to know we have each other here today. Thank you for showing up and braving the cold. We love you here at AM950. And, have community. That's why it's called Queermunity. Queer people in community. Yes.
And to your point, Philip, your show airs every Saturday afternoon at 5 p.m. You close out our entire afternoon of LGBTQ programming on AM950. So you follow A Legal Trans Woman, hosted by Ellie, who will be here later, and Twin Cities Pride has Twin Cities Pride Amplified from 3 until 4 p.m. The Daily Show is on at 2 o'clock. But yes, it's really nice to have that radio collective community as well as the in-person community. Matt, how has OutFront been processing and thinking about the next 4 years since the election? Please tell me you have like a 50,000-point plan that's ready to go for us to do for today.
Okay. What I can tell you is that OutFront has been building power within the LGBTQ community since 1987, and we're going to continue to do that. We have lobbied and have worked for inclusive rights for queer folk for almost 38 years now, and we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop building community. We're not going to stop being out in the community. We are really committed to protecting the rights of all two-spirit, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual, and aromantic people in the state of Minnesota. So we have a lieutenant governor and a governor who is supporting our rights, who are fierce advocates. Lieutenant Governor Becky Flanagan has called herself, and others have called her a mama bear, and she'll continue to be that for our state. We have a queer caucus that's working really hard that we are in community with too. And we have representatives who really care about the queer folks of Minnesota. So we also know that the queer community has existed forever. And they're not going to quit existing just because of a fascist white supremacist, right? We're going to be existing. We're going to continue to fight. We are continuing to build community power. We have community care gatherings all around the state happening. We just had one here at Queermunity last week talking about boundaries. Queermunity is really becoming the hub for people to be at. So we're talking about boundaries. What are the boundaries that people need to make with their family, with their loved ones, with their friends during these next 4 years? How do they protect their peace? And we're also talking about, we're doing this in St. Paul, we're doing it in Anoka, we're going to be doing it online. These community care things, we're going to continue to build power in the state of Minnesota. So that's continuing. You can find out more about that on outfront.org. We constantly have events cycling through. And tomorrow we're going to be doing a community briefing for everybody. You can sign up on Zoom with Kat Brown, our executive director, who's going to be talking about this legislative session, what goes down today with the supposed 100 executive orders, and just a reminder that a lot of these, especially when they talk about trans folks in the executive orders, they have no real power yet. They have to go through processes that honestly the president doesn't have. So we're continuing to do that work at OutFront.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You know, the Constitution still exists, people.
Yes, and really importantly in the state of Minnesota, we have the Human Rights Act, which is a really important piece of legislation for the basis of LGBTQ rights here in Minnesota.
I think that to me is going to be a really interesting conversation. Is that you always hear the conservatives and MAGA talk about states' rights, states' rights, states' rights. Well, now we're actually going to see how states' rights in Minnesota, New York, Vermont, California, if they can stand what they have done to the courts here. I think it's also what both of you, Philip and Matt, are talking about, is that when these executive orders come down, that doesn't mean there won't be legal challenges to them. And I was just reading something earlier today from Lambda Legal, talking about, we're waiting to see what it is and we're prepared for the file, which is really, really important to see that. Hillary, you all, you all launched the week of the election. So tell me, I don't know if that has necessarily impacted the way that you've been thinking about the programming and the resources that you're offering, but talk to me about how you're seeing Queermunity's role shaping now since the catastrophe.
The catastrophe.
That's what I call it. You know what I call it that? And everybody knows exactly what I mean.
Yes, heard. Yes, understood. We opened the beginning of November. We had a wonderful launch week. The best attended event that we had was our election night kind of soft space, and people just wanted to be in community. And I think, yes, we're so grateful for the work at OutFront. I just wanted to start saying that the work that all of the advocacy organizations are doing to ensure our protection and work very hard for protection is invaluable. I'm so grateful for your work. And we want to offer joy and celebration as resistance as well. And so really creating opportunities for people to come together, share our stories, share our experiences, and create joy at the same time amongst all of this catastrophe, as you say. So we do have a stacked lineup of all kinds of programs that the community brings to us, and we're really working together with community members. I see a few here now who are leading different types of programs over the next month to really celebrate the culture that we, like the unique culture that all the different aspects of the community bring, and really celebrating all those pieces. Because we've been here a long time and we're not going anywhere. We're going to continue to celebrate.
And we look forward to Queermunity for a long time as well. Open 7 days a week, right?
8 to 8.
8 to 8. Which is amazing to have that here in the cities where you're just feeling low. You can be like, I am going to go to Queermunity and be with folks and dine at an amazing full service cafe. And you have a library that's available for folks. You have a lot of resources just ready to go when people walk in the door.
That's right. So we have the special events, and that's on the website, on the calendar of events, but there's always something to do. We have a lot of puzzles. So there's kind of community puzzles going on. There's crafting. We have a little air hockey table. We have a ping pong table. There's always kind of something to do, even if there's not an event, but usually someone to hang out with and chat with as well.
I appreciate that. We're coming up on a break here. We are going to continue the conversation after this commercial break. Please support our sponsors. They make AM950 the progressive voice of Minnesota. They keep us on the air, and they also make this programming of the Daily Show and your afternoon LGBT shows possible. So please support our sponsors. Tell them you heard them on the air.
Are we switching on?
Did you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance. They will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
At Queermunity, savor our seasonal menus from our chef, June Day, the James Beard Awards semifinalist. We feature locally sourced foods grown and produced by queer and BIPOC farmers. A full-service cafe offering your favorite cold brew coffees, hot teas, cider spritzes, and very own custom-made chai lattes. Start your day with our smoked bacon and egg breakfast sandwiches served on a biscuit with chipotle mayo and cheddar cheese. Vegan? Try our vegan sausage, egg and cheese. For lunch, pair our seasonal salads and soups with a caprese panini served on Rose Street baguettes. Try one of our chickpea salad sandwiches, or enjoy the comfort of our grilled cheese with mouth-watering provolone, cheddar, and Gruyere melting on Rose Street breads. We serve sweet and savory pastries, and check out our new bar menu featuring local beer, wine, and custom double hard seltzers. Mention AM950 at the cafe register for a free beverage with entree purchase. The Queermunity Cafe is open 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. More info at queermunitymn.com.
Hi, my name is Katty from Minnesota Recovery Connection.
And I'm Erin with Minnesota Recovery Connection.
We'd like you to listen to our show, Redefining Recovery, a Recovery Revolution. It is on Saturdays at 10 a.m. on AM950.
On the show, we discuss topics about addiction, understanding substance use disorder, the many pathways to recovery, and your personal journey.
Listen to Redefining Recovery Saturdays at 10 a.m. and find our podcast on your favorite app.
Hey everyone, this is longtime AM950 host Ellie Krug. I'm thrilled to announce my brand new show, The Illegal Trans Woman, which takes advocacy from my community, transgender and gender variant people, up several big notches. The Illegal Trans Woman will feature interviews, commentary, and information aimed at pushing back against efforts to oppress trans and gender variant humans. Please tune in on Saturdays at 4 or wherever you go to get your podcasts. And do me a favor, share about the show. Thanks.
Minnesotans are hardy. We don't let snow or ice get in our way. We have places to go. So making sure your vehicle is in prime shape for winter driving is so important. Take your vehicle to Rudy Luther Toyota for all your service needs. I was just there. I got my oil and filters replaced, and they did a complete safety check to make sure my vehicle can tackle winter. And they service all makes and models of vehicles. Head to RudyLutherToyota.com and use their super easy Toyota service schedule to set up your service appointment today. Rudy Luther Toyota on the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Here with the Daily Show on AM950 KTMF. I'm JP Gabrigocio, your host. Joining me, continuing, is Matt Lewellyn-Otten, Director of Religious and Community Organizing with OutFront Minnesota, and Philip Anthony, the host of the Downright Upright Show with Philip Anthony here on AM950 Radio. And joining us from Queermunity, Kayla Barth, KB, one of the co-founders of Queermunity. Hello, KB. Welcome to the Daily Show.
I am so happy to be here, and thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So I guess I want to kind of get your thoughts on Queermunity's role now moving forward into, how do you call this, the abyss?
Yes. So Queermunity, my whole thing, one of the things I got involved was putting we are queer and we are so much more. We are more than just our queerness. And it is a place for us to build community around that and we don't have to leave our queerness at the door. So if we want to have a gaming, group of people, well, you don't have to, hide, your same-sex relationship. Like it's like, okay, cool. Like what else? What else is cool about you? And really building community, especially in these, tumultuous times.
Thank you for that. I think there's something really, we're so digitally connected right now that there's just something much more meaningful when you just walk into a space.
Yes.
And you can just be seen and heard and loved. Even if it just means you're going to grab your chai and sitting down to read a book, a queer book.
Yes. And we have a bunch of lovely book clubs starting up. So we can go ahead and we can talk and we can be in community while we kind of, pine away hoping for different time in 4 years.
Fast forward to that. Matt, can you remind me of the Zoom tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow at noon, we'll be having a community debriefing talking about the current legislation federally and locally. It will be with Kat. That will be at noon, and you can tune into that via Zoom, and you can sign up on our website, outfront.org/events. But it's Kat is a wealth of knowledge and is our executive director.
Oh, yeah.
And is really wonderful and will just be able to give us a clear picture of what's ahead, but not just that, to bring us hope too, which we really need right now.
Mm-hmm. Philip, talk to me about that, because you've had a lot of guests since the catastrophe that have been giving a lot. I really appreciated those episodes because they've been giving a lot of serious analysis, but also kind of putting that framework of, okay, you know, we got each other. We can get through this. Talk to me more about the coverage you've been doing with your guests.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to have more guests concentrating in the LGBTQ community because, you know, before the election, JP, I was doing politicians every week because I wanted people to go out because the connection with progressive politics and LGBT is very, very close. And if we don't vote, we're not going to get our rights, not going to keep our rights. So I had every week a different politician. Now, after the catastrophe, that's what you call it, because I can't think of a better word than that. You're great. That's amazing. Since the catastrophe, I'm trying to have as many LGBTQ guests on as possible. And I'm so glad I met Matt today and KD and Hillary and this space, by the way. I just want you to know, if you have not been here, it's incredible. You have the best beverages and foods and community and so much going on. I can't even, I'm speechless about it. It really is incredible. So thank you, Queermunity, for having us. And
Full Service Cafe with a menu created by a James Beard semi-finalist.
Oh yeah.
June Day, which is just an absolute delightful menu that uplifts queer and BIPOC farmers and creators. Wrong word. But it is an absolutely delightful cafe, and I love the intentionality that you all put into that. Every part of the space. I mean, if you haven't been here and seeing it, like we're looking out over it right now, it's a lovely open air space, lots of versatility in terms of the programming, lots of little private nooks, amazing natural lighting.
Oh, just wait until the sun comes out, you know, someday. And and it's so bright in here. We don't even have to run the lights during the day.
Yeah.
It is absolutely gorgeous. I still remember the first time we walked into the space, and it's just dreams. Like they were finally like tangible, and we saw the space, and we're like, yes, this is a space. It's nice and bright. It's not big. Hiding in the corners, we can come out, we can be our authentic selves here.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
I'm going to take over your show here. You have amazing employees here.
Oh yes, most definitely.
They are so nice. The people in the back remembered me from one time I was here. Remember the cake I was making? The volunteers were incredible to me. It's just a community of love.
It's just a testament to the queer community
as
a whole. We are very welcoming, and we just want everybody to be welcome in ways that we have a lot of times not been welcome.
Yes. Thank you guys, all the employees out there. Thank you so much for all you do, really.
And I'll say that I was just here on Thursday night for an OutFront event, and there were 2 other events happening in the space at the same time. There's a queer architects group and queer AA group happening, and it was seamless. Like we were able to all 3 have our different events going at the same time, and people were at the cafe, and it was fantastic. It was really cool.
And they even have a senior day, right? I think Thursdays, is that correct?
On the 30th, we're having.
My age, you know, we do want to.
No,
you know.
Wait, you're not old. You're like 40.
Oh my God. I love her, guys. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be Medicare age in 2 months.
Oh, well, I'm so glad you're here. And many more to come.
You're amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah. So sweet.
But yes, we're getting ready to do a coffee event.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
Wonderful. I have to fit in another commercial break. After the sponsor break, Ellie Krug of the Illegal Trans Woman will be joining us through the magic of technology from out of state. We'll talk about her show and her perspectives. I mean, she was the first trans lawyer to advocate in front of, trial a case in front of the Iowa Supreme Court. So I'm going to be very curious on her take on the day's events, as it were. So, yeah, I lost my train of thought there. We will see you on the flip side of this break. You're listening to AM950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Connections radio show is all about tapping into our hardwired hunger to connect. We examine meaningful connections to ourselves, our community, and the world around us. By opening the door to innovative insights by a wide variety of interesting guests, we'll make the connections to something bigger than ourselves. Join me, Lori Hicks, your host of the Connections radio show, and together we'll make connections. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on AM950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Even though we're already into 2025, it's always the right time to support AM950. The AM950 2025 calendar is here, featuring photos I took around Minnesota and important progressive things. Members that sign up for a one-time AM950 calendar as a thank you. And everyone from a $2 donation, you get an AM950 calendar and a signed copy of Tom Hartman's latest book as a thank you. Hurry, reviews are running low. Go to AM950Radio.com for details on the membership. Thank you so much for supporting AM950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hey, Minnesota, it's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast. We'll expose and make sense of all of our current political nightmares and more every weeknight at 7 on AM 950.
Hey, it's Freddie Bell, host of New Beginnings, designed for those of us more seasoned, I'll say, with informative talk on everything from health, finance, local and regional news, volunteerism, spirituality, and even a bit of humor tossed in. So if you're proud to be a more seasoned listener, tune in to New Beginnings Sunday afternoons at 1 right here on the progressive voice of Minnesota, AM 950.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car.
I'm right there with you.
919-5526.
Well, my brain's sort of fixing it.
I read it wrong. You're listening to AM950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Attention event planners and festival
Someone knows what's going on around here.
Minuteman Press Uptown, your union print shop partner for your next event. We're here to check items off your list and make your event from stunning banners, eye-catching signage to programs, tickets, and name badges. We print everything. Get promotional products at prices that let you load up on merch and fill those swag bags. Make your event unforgettable with Minuteman Uptown. Visit us at mpuptown.com.
1 minute out. Your AM950 weather. I'm Patrick Lilia. Cold sunshine this afternoon with a high of 6 below. Wind chills of 28 below. Then tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 8 below and wind chills down to 34 below zero. The Great Wall Restaurant has been serving up Mandarin and Sichuan favorites for almost 45 years. Check them out on France Avenue along the Minneapolis-Edina City line just north of 50th Street or at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Broadcasting live from Queermunity in Uptown Minneapolis. This is AM950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota. You are listening to The Daily Show, also streaming right now on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@TheDailyShow. I am your host, JP Gosian. Joining us through the magic of technology now is Ellie Krug, who is the host of The Illegal Trans Woman, which airs right here on AM950 Radio every Saturday afternoon at 4 p.m. We are so lucky. Ellie has been a mainstay of AM950 Radio and also has done just amazing work with her book and an upcoming book that is coming out later this year. So I'm very pleased to have Ellie. Ellie, hi, welcome back to The Daily Show.
Hey JP, it's I'm happy to be talking to you. I'm not thrilled about the circumstances that bring us together today, but I'm glad to be on, and I'm glad that you were able to make time for me in the show today.
Absolutely. I wanted to, so for folks who don't know, Ellie is a trailblazing lawyer. Her legal organization has won many awards recognizing for its work around the trans and queer community, for its advocacy. Also the first lawyer to try a case before the Iowa Supreme Court. So Ellie, I am curious your analysis of the day and what we're seeing so far.
Well, so, you know, I think the day can be of a look back at all the asserted wrongs that the Biden administration committed, a combination of incredible lies, incredible promises that will never, ever be kept, and a foretelling of how very bad it will get for anyone who isn't white, male, and an evangelical Christian in our country. You know, I was struck, JP, by the fact that, you know, Trump just came out of the gate with his teleprompter speech, you know, railing at all the alleged wrongs that the Biden administration has committed. I mean, if you had listened to him and believed him, you would think our country is in the worst shape it's ever been. You know, and you know, he claimed that he wanted to create a country that was prosperous and free. And, you know, and of course, if you're queer and you hear a Republican politician talk about freedom, you know, and making people free, you know, intuitively that means to make queer people unfree, particularly transgender and gender expansive people, to make us unfree. He talked about, you know, a journey to reclaim our republic, which certainly suggests that there's going to be a reckoning as part of that reclaiming. You know, he wanted to make January 20th the Liberation Day for America. And again, when you liberate our country, supposedly, okay, there are groups of people that will no longer be liberated. And of course, we heard about him talking about his phrase, the complete revolution back to common sense. And that led him of talking about race and gender, talking about how he wants to make America a colorblind society. Now, you know, JP, that I'm a national speaker on diversity and inclusion. And there is no such thing as a colorblind society when society began with a history of 400 years of enslaving people who were not white, and of us trying to reckon for another 250 years, and particularly only since the Civil War, reckoning, and actually only since the end of legalized Jim Crow in the mid-60s, trying us change the way society is. So to go back, you know, to get us to some kind of colorblind society is just reinstituting a white-dominated society.
After the catastrophe in November, you had LA 2.0, which was your show that you produced a few hundred episodes, and you decided to start a new show, The Illegal Trans Woman. Why did you make that decision, and what do you hope to cover with your new program?
We'd actually done, over a course of 7 years, 357 episodes of LA 2.0 Radio. You know, and I had great hopes that Kamala would be elected. And when that did not happen, of course, I was devastated. I mean, that's really the devastated and despondent. Those two words are really true. And it caused me, I mean, you know, the day after the election, it caused me to have my own reckoning, which was I can't coast anymore, and that I need to be an advocate for the trans community because the trans community does not have its version of ACT UP, as you may recall from the 1980s and early 90s, with gay men trying to force the federal government to fund AIDS research. We don't have anything. We don't have an ACT UP. And so I decided to stop my show, which was about idealism and people trying to make a positive difference in the world, and decided that I would be a full frontal, you know, full-throated activist with heart. Okay, that's the way I try and say it, advocacy with heart, on behalf of trans and gender expansive people. And that's why The Illegal Trans Woman was launched. The show takes its name from Project 2024, which we are literally seeing unfold today, Project 2025. He's going to sit down later today and he's going to sign a bunch of executive orders. And those orders, many of those will be infused with Project 2025 principles.
So walk us through, because when you were on the show a couple weeks ago, you were talking about how the federal government will use Congress specifically will use the power of the purse to force states to comply. Can you talk a little bit about how it's kind of framed with your legal expertise, the legal ways that either states or we can organize to stall or stop these executive orders and whatever Congress has coming down the pike?
Well, we'll have to see how we'll have to see how everything unfolds, okay? But historically, the way that the federal government imposes its will on states is through tying federal funding to federal mandates. So, for example, everyone, I grew up in the 60s and the 70s. When I started, driving a car long ago, it was voluntary to wear a seatbelt. It was not mandatory. In fact, as a kid, cars weren't. When I first grew up, there were no seatbelts in cars. And so one of the ways the federal government got all the states to mandate the use of seatbelts was to tie federal highway dollars into the states passing laws that they would, that people had to buckle up. Okay. Now, as it relates to trans people, my concern is, and we've seen this already in Florida, and we are seeing it happen in Texas, is that the states are requiring that trans people who have already had their gender markers changed on their driver's license are requiring that trans people, that at least on a go-forward basis, you can't get a new gender marker. You can't change your gender marker so that it's in conformity with your gender identity. I'm anticipating now, I have not seen this, but federal government, one of his executive orders is going to be, by virtue of the federal government, there are only two genders, male and female, based on the basis of reproductive biology or chromosomes. And so what that does is that essentially wipes out transgender people. Okay, it just, that gender is immutable, that you can never ever identify other than what you were born with between your legs. And what I'm anticipating is that there will be a number of initiatives that will come down on the basis of that, and that they will tie some of those initiatives by forcing the state, because we live in Minnesota. It's the bluest, one of the bluest of blue states. We all live here, right? I was listening for a while as the show is going on. The reason we live in Minnesota is because we are protected, right? But one of the ways that we can start losing those protections is that if the federal government says, you need to do X and Y, which is marginalizing to our community, in order to get your federal dollars, then there will be pressure on our state government to do that X and Y. I can tell you it's very clear, because I've seen that preview, at least on the media, about he's going to require that any agency that receives federal dollars cannot affirm gender identities, cannot prohibit people from misgendering folks. And so for the schools, okay, because I'm anticipating what's going to happen is we're going to get the executive order, then we're going to get a regulation from some government agency. I don't know about the Department of Education because he wants to eliminate that, but that's going to say that you cannot allow trans students to use bathrooms that conform with their gender identity or locker rooms. Here in Minnesota, it's the law that our Minnesota Department of Education requires that schools allow students to use those facilities according to their gender identity. I can see the federal government saying you school district will not be allowed to get federal dollars if you allow trans students to use those facilities that align with their gender identities. I can see that happening. And it's going to cause a lot of school districts to say, sorry, trans kids, trans girl, you got to use the boys' bathroom, and of course, risk getting beaten up in the boys' bathroom.
I'll add that here in Minnesota, we do have the Supportive Schools Act, that does mean that kids are protected in schools, and all of this is going to go through such litigation, such back and forth, such debate. And so while I want people to be clear that, this administration is going to have these executive orders, there's going to be time for people to act up and speak out too. And I think that's what's going to be really important as we go through these next 4 years, is that people continue to write letters, talk to their neighbors, which is really scary, but it's a thing we need to do. We need to talk to our neighbors, we need to build community, we need to build power, so that when we see these things being debated, we can say, this is not a value of our state of Minnesota, and this isn't a value of any of its citizens either.
Well, that, to your point there, that was one of the, when we had the marriage amendment fight here in Minnesota, one of the tactics, if you will, strategies involved up front was talking about those one-to-one conversations, the phone banking that happened prior to that vote, that ended up with a 51-49 margin. But it was one of the things that I think that there were so many conversations that were had that to go from that amendment to then 9 months later, like it wasn't, I think it was passed and we were a, pro-LGBTQ marriage state. I mean, I think there's something to that, what you're talking about, Matt.
JP, can I just jump in? I agree 100% about the need to have grassroots resistance. I agree. But when you start tying federal mandates, requirements by the federal government to funding, to dollars, and then you have there's this concept called federal supremacy that overtakes whatever the state wants to do. I just think that we're in for a tough ride. I do.
It'll be curious, I think. And I don't know how to feel about this. And panel, I'm asking a huge question here right before a commercial break of the dynamic that we have to now navigate as queer people of wanting to build, I would say accomplices at this point, not allies, accomplices at this point, but then also creating those boundaries that you were talking about earlier, Matt, of how much can I trust it?
Yeah, I think, we need to be in community together. We need to be kind of recognizing the power shift that's happening. But I really think that community is going to be one of the ways that we continue to resist, we continue to act up in a new way, and that we continue to just build power within the communities. But I really do think that it's a lot of those individual conversations and kind of removing the veil that we see kind of happening in our country and kind of exposing it for what we need to get at the root of Christian nationalism is really what I think.
There you go.
We need to expose it for what it is, of it being a destructive form of nationalism.
Absolutely. Folks, there is going to be a debrief Zoom with OutFront. You can go to their website to get the login information for that. Ellie, stick with us after the break. We're going to come back. We're going to meet Kyra Crawford Calvert, who is the events programming coordinator manager here at Manager. That's straight. Manager. We're going to talk about that coming up after the break. One last break, but lots to get to here on The Daily Show.
Tune in for Philosophy Talk, the program that questions everything.
Accept your intelligence.
Coming up, how to create virtuous leaders.
Good luck with that. Most politicians these days are power-hungry, corrupt, and out of touch.
So let's train them to be less selfish.
You think good character is something that can change?
You have a better idea?
How to create virtuous leaders. Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Catch Philosophy Talk every Sunday morning at 8 on AM950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. That's Philosophy Talk, Sundays at 8 on AM950.
Queermunity, the new LGBTQ cafe, social club, and resource center is now open in the heart of Uptown Minneapolis. Dine in at our full-service cafe, rent a co-working desk, or one of our spacious offices. Did I mention our program and social events calendar is stacked? None of this is possible without our members. Our basic membership plan earns $20 annually that you can find in the cafe or on parking. Plus, enjoy a 10% discount at the cafe or on space rentals. Also, our community partners provide our members with exclusive discounts, and the savings only go up from there with our higher membership plans. We've never had an LGBTQ resource center that offers a dedicated space where queer folks can go to whenever they need to feel safe, seen, and loved. Your membership keeps Queermunity open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and provides needed resources to members of the community regardless of income. The Queermunity needs you. Become a member today at queermunitymn.com. Mention AM950 at the cafe register for a free
Are you struggling with post-COVID brain fog, ADHD, concussion, tremors from Parkinson's, mental health issues, or simply striving to optimize your brain's potential? Hypercharge Wellness Brain Health specifically offers cutting-edge modalities including quantitative EEG, transcranial laser, red light therapy, all which work holistically, amplifying focus and cognitive functions. Utilizing these modalities in tandem enhances neural activities, optimizes the brain's electrical patterns, reduces anxiety, and enhances relaxation, ensuring a comprehensive approach to brain health optimization. All are invited to experience this life-changing journey towards achieving optimal cognitive and emotional well-being. Call or schedule online your free Hypercharge Wellness introductory session valued at $200 today. This is your opportunity to feel the difference for yourself. No matter where you are in the Twin Cities, there's a convenient location near you. Visit hyperchargeclinic.com now. Check out our 5-star reviews on our website. Hypercharge is hope.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
And you're back. Daily show broadcasting live from Queermunity in Uptown Minnesota. Joining the panel for conversation, joining the chat, is Kyra Crawford-Calvert, who is the events programming manager here at Queermunity. Kyra, welcome, and tell us what you've got going on here at Queermunity.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. We have a series of events. We try to meet people at the intersections of where they exist, and that means identity and culture and artistic practice. The event that we have coming up today, kind of in response to what we're all talking about, unfortunately, is not another happy hour. So right after this, in about 9 minutes from 3 to 8, feel free to come on by to Queermunity. We have $2 off of our menu, as well as pizza, which we don't usually have on the menu, and it's curated by our chef.
There's also adult beverages.
Good call out. We do have adult beverages after business hours every day, so 5 to 8 p.m., except for on Thursday, which is designated as a sober day. And that is also the same day as Gay AA, which is a queer Alcoholics Anonymous group. That repeats weekly. Coming up on the 24th of January, we have a soft space, which is another kind of response to the time that we're in, and that's for QT BIPOC folks to come on by, have craft stations, puzzles, body work, music, just kind of a soft place to land in these times. We have several series ongoing. We work directly with community members to create programming that's kind of by us, for us.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. We're looking forward to all of that. How do folks find out more information?
Queermunitymn.com/events. Otherwise, we're on socials, just Queermunity MN, Instagram and Facebook, things like that.
Could you join us on Blue Sky?
We're not there yet, but yeah, it's definitely in the talks, and we created a post.
Blue.
Yeah, do you like it?
I think I do. There's some issues with it around. I've seen some of my friends who are trans and non-binary who are like, not as many privacy protections as we would want to see. So hopefully they'll start cranking those out. But I'm more optimistic than not.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to have those alternatives, especially in the internet world that we live in. And it's hard to think about those technology limitations like privacy and things like that, especially getting things created rapidly. But we're definitely in the talks about how to move forward on social media, since it has been such a huge social driver for people to come to Queermunity. So we just partnered recently to create a kind of like a reel on Instagram that speaks about like how people can move forward in these times when it comes to social media.
Thank you for that.
Well, you have a Queermunity app, I heard.
We do have an app.
Let's talk about that.
That is an alternative. So it's available in the app stores. You can search for it, Queermunity Collaborative. And that is an alternative way to stay up to date with everything that we communicate on our website and on our Instagram in terms of events and like bookings and things like that. It's all available and also doable from our app. So like you can rent our space through the app.
Yeah,
perfect. Lots of functionality in that app, so definitely go there. And more functionality once you become a member as well of Queermunity. We're coming to the end of our time here today. I can't believe how fast this has gone, and I've been trying to manage time, and it's like zoomed right on by. Ellie, tell us, how can we connect with your show? What's coming up this week?
Oh, JP. So my show airs on Saturdays at 4 p.m. CST. Coming up this week, I'm going to have Jess Braverman from Gender Justice to talk about some of the legal issues associated with the executive orders that Donald Trump is going to sign today. And we'll, of course, cover our usual things about news bites and some other items related to advocating for the trans community and gender expansive people.
Yes, and you have a newsletter, website, and folks can connect with you on social media. And I'm on Blue Sky.
I have a newsletter called The Ripple, goes out once a month to 9,500 people. My website is elliekrug.com. I'm on Substack now. Just Google substack.elliekrug, and you'll be able to find me. My initial blog went out this week, and the blog is titled "Being Ellen: Advocacy with Heart."
Perfect. And Philip, what are you covering this week on your show?
Well, I have a DJ coming on my show. I'm trying to move away from the catastrophe, like you call it. So I have a DJ. He talks about smooth jazz and just to get us in the mood to try to evade the negativity. So I'm trying to move in that direction. Also, the first Saturday of every month, I have my co-host show with my amazing co-hosts, Austin Ballhagen and Matt Amundsen. Love you guys. If you're hearing me out there, we talk about, obviously, current events. So that'll be happening the first Saturday of February. And I'm on Blue Sky as well, downright-upright at bsky.social.
Perfect. And Matt, the Zoom event tomorrow, but how can folks connect with all of the programming and organizing that we're going to need to connect with you about?
Yeah, I think the best way to do that would be just to follow us on our events page. We also are on social media. We're on Blue Sky. It's OutFrontMN.BlueSky.
It's the worst handle.
Cool. Great. We're on there though. So and
I learned a tip. If you own your URL, you can the Daily Show. We own ours, so our Blue Sky handle now is at thedailyshow.org, not at thedailyshow.bsky.app. Whatever.
Really? That's great. I talk about feelings, not much about website domains. So that just went over my head. So thank you. But we have our lobby day coming up too on February 14th. So we'll be at the Capitol. We're encouraging people to show up at the Capitol on February 14th to talk to their legislators. We will have an opportunity to meet with the Queer Caucus as well. And we know that right now what's happening in the Minnesota House is kind of a mess. And so we're trying to get people to shape up a little bit. So
we'll ship out.
Perfect. Well, thank you everyone for listening here at Queermunity, for listening on your radios or radio apps, watching us on YouTube. We'll be back here tomorrow at 2 p.m. We're going to be talking with Rochester Pride about the recent book ban of an LGBTQ children's book. We'll be talking a lot about that coming up. You can stream us at your podcast or at AM950Radio.com. Connect with us on Blue Sky. We're talking a lot about Blue Sky right now. We're at thedailyshow.org. Coming up next is the Matt McNeil Show, and after that, stay tuned for Native Roots Radio. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.